So, Madam Moderator, you ready to go? You might want to come closer to me, you know. Don't be afraid of me. I'm not gonna bite, honestly. Um, so Howard, you probably should go on that side so we can see you. Yeah, just bring a chair around, sit on that side. Are we? I guess we're live now, right? We're live. We're live. All right, everyone. I'm not the moderator. Please forgive me. I'm waiting for the moderator to get acclimatized. Howard,
can you be seen or heard?
yes, I wanted you to. You're being seen there.
All right.
You're afraid of me? You can come closer. Seriously, you are welcome to come closer to me. And let me just shift this around, and then everybody can see the moderator.
Okay.
Hi guys, this is Miss Sonia Migna, the moderator for this evening. She's gonna guide us through. It's her first time. She's shy, so be okay with her.
My daughter is gonna help me out.
Her daughter is here as well. Come a little closer so everybody can see you. Here's her beautiful daughter who's gonna help her out. All right, ladies, take it away.
Good evening. We'd like to all welcome you to We Are the People Town Hall that's happening right here in Toronto, Canada at the Jamaican Canadian Association. This is the third town hall meeting of its kind, and it's created to promote outreach and awareness of the commitment and what the UIC plans to do in the future. So I would like to first introduce your moderator for tonight. Her name is Sonia McNaught.
Okay. Good night, everyone, and welcome to UIC's third town hall meeting. First, I'd like to acknowledge those who have made this town hall meeting possible. To our UIC members home and in the diaspora, our friends and supporters, the JCA, Mr. Betty, Miss Marsha, and Miss Jennifer, who has worked with us, the UIC diaspora group, to secure this space for our meeting. You can't hear?
We can hear you.
Thank you all for your support and your contribution and your generosity. As a returning resident of Jamaica, Mr. Patterson was taken back by the deplorable condition of his beloved country and how poorly managed it was. It was then he decided to do something about it. Thus, the United Independence Congress was born, and on December 7th, 2019, the United Independent Congress of Jamaica, UIC, became Jamaica's third registered political party. As a member of the movement, I give my 100% support to the cause for change in Jamaica. Tonight, our speakers will address the governance, the Constitution, and our president will take it home with "We the People" for a real republic, not a fake one. Let's hear from our first speaker.
Our first speaker for tonight will be Mr. Chase Neal, and he'll be speaking about
Good governance.
good governance.
All right, good night, good evening, everyone, and welcome to our third town hall. I am Chase Neal, the Vice President of Cornwall County for the United Independence Congress. Now, we are here contemplating the total revocation and replacement of the document that we call the Constitution of Jamaica instead of a reform. And significant to this discussion is governance, good governance versus bad governance. Now, we know that governance has to do with management of the people's affairs, but we need to figure out for ourselves and the citizens of Jamaica what is good governance versus bad governance. All right, and to do that, we need to figure out what is the role of governance. Now, the role of governance is to protect our life, to protect our liberty, and to protect our property. So government's role is to provide that climate that gives us a safe, a clean, and orderly society through which our rights are protected and we may achieve the best versions of ourselves. Now, part of that, of this role is our security of persons. Now, looking around in Jamaica, it is evident that our persons are insecure with a high crime rate. So there's evidence of bad governance in that is not achieved. There is no security of our monies. We hear about the cashless system that the government of Jamaica has faced. And in fact, Jamaica has made CBDC, Jamdex legal tender, and we know all the disadvantages of such a system where government will be controlling our monies. So government has failed recently and throughout the years with the high inflation rates to protect our property, protect our money. There's no security there. There is no protection of our property in that we bring to mind Lloyd's Vale and other affected so-called squatter communities last year, where people were evicted out of their homes and their homes demolished. Now, this bad governance all arises out of a constitution that enables it. We, the Jamaican people, are suffering from the effects of bad governance because the so-called founding fathers thought it fit to create a document that compounded power in the hands of a few at the expense of the many. And so the markers of good governance, such as a secure populace, safe, clean and orderly environment, and educated population does not exist any at all. And so we are seen as a so-called third world country because of the lack of good governance that ensures our rights to our personhood, to our lives, to our liberty, to our property. And so we have the markers of bad governance: high rates of corruption, high rates of crime, high rates of unemployment, high rates of people being employed but underpaid. Now, recently, we saw the effects of bad governance rear its ugly head in the government of Jamaica denying the hardworking people of Jamaica salaries which they were already due, but tripling the salaries of politicians and members in the governing body, such as the judiciary, while Jamaicans continue to suffer. Now, if we had a constitution that protected our right to earn and keep our earnings, that would have protected the populace from the policies of the politicians, willy-nilly policies, then we would have seen a populace that's secure in itself in terms of finances and social security. But no. Now it is time for we, the people, to ensure good governance as opposed to bad governance. by totally, in Jamaican parlance, fling away the constitution that obtains and remake a constitution that is made by the Jamaican people. Now, why is this so important? Why is the constitution so significant to good and bad governance? Now, the constitution is that basic law, that law above all laws from which all other laws derive, plus it is that document that determines our kind of governance. Now, the Jamaican Ordering Council, called the Jamaican Constitution, allows for one person and a few persons associated with him or her, that's the Prime Minister, to have virtually all power to control the executive, to control the legislative, and to control the judiciary arms of government. The Prime Minister chooses at will any member of his party in the Parliament to become cabinet ministers, and he can fire them at will. So the executive is totally under his control or her control if the Prime Minister happens to be a woman. We're talking about the system right now and not the person. The Prime Minister controls the majority of the ministers of parliament, the members of parliament in the lower house. Then he appoints, well, the word used in the Constitution is he recommends to the Governor General 13 persons, while the leader of the opposition recommends 8 persons. But the language of the Constitution makes it clear that whatever the Prime Minister recommends, the Governor General has to do. So really, the Prime Minister chooses 13 people to become senators. The leader of the opposition chooses 8. The Prime Minister controls the majority there. So any law that he wants passed will be passed through the lower house, the members of parliament, where the winning party that he controls or she controls as a majority, then it will be passed to the upper house, where the Prime Minister also has control of the majority, because these senators are beholden to the party leader. Then the Governor General must give assent, and the Governor General is beholden to the advice of the Prime Minister, which is really the direction of the Prime Minister. And the Prime Minister also recommends the Chief Justice, who is the head of the judiciary. So we see where the Prime Minister also has control over the judiciary. Over the years, how has this affected us? It has paved the way for past prime ministers to create gangs to ensure political victory. We have PNP creating REMA, we have JLP creating Jungle, and the offshoot of these garrisons is that they have empowered them, given them guns, given them areas to control to ensure their votes, and now the crime is out of control and they rarely have a rein on it. The Constitution has enabled this by giving these persons so much power with nobody to hold them in balance, under checks and balances. No, the Section 32 of the Constitution does provide for the majority of the members of parliament to so-called oust the Prime Minister, to state that they have no confidence in the Prime Minister to lead, at which point they go to the Governor General, and then the Governor General advises the Prime Minister, and the Prime Minister has 3 days in which to either graciously leave or advise the Governor General to dissolve the Parliament. So we see the Prime Minister, through the Constitution, is untouchable. It gives people leeway to create corruption and to create the society that we have here with the mismanagement of our resources. Now, such a document contributes to the bad governance that punctuates Jamaican society. We want good governance that ensures our safety, that ensures our freedom, that ensures our right to our life and our property. And so we are here to look at totally revoking and replacing the Jamaican Constitution and ensuring good governance as opposed to bad governance. Thank you.
Thank you kindly. Thank you kindly, Mr. Neal. Now, our next speaker is Mr. Winston Wright, and he'll be speaking about reform or replace.
Constitution.
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm being heard across all platforms and the broadcast media. Let me firstly say thank you to the UIC Canada Diaspora Group for the hard work that they have put into making this town hall a success and making it possible. Let me also thank everyone joining us online and in person across membership and across belief. Our brother Chase Deal just outlined how exploitative this system is. And it's a system that was handed to us by our colonizers. It wasn't created by us when we became a free people. It wasn't designed to make us a success when we became a nation liberated from the bonds of slavery and institutional white supremacy and racism. Now, to reform or to replace, that now becomes the question. Because our neo-colonialist politicians have looked at that inequitous system that has kept us down, that has systematically plunged us into poverty, to say, let's reform it. And what is a reform? The reform is to make improvement, especially by changing the structure of something. And over the decades, they have tried to reform this constitution. For example, the constitution, or what purports to be a constitution, never afforded us any rights as a people again because of its white supremacist leaning. So they added a charter of citizens' rights. Yes, that was added in the latter part of this century. You imagine you're just getting rights as a citizen of this country? But I digress. And that has not improved our lives. The last access to information request the UIC submitted to the Office of the Attorney General and asked, how many court proceedings do you have on your books, settled and pending, for state violation of the rights of Jamaicans? They forward a tranche of 2 emails loaded with well over 3 dozen folders, and each folder has multiple cases in it. This morning, we heard about the schizophrenic gentleman that was incarcerated for 50 years without due process. And the court adjudicated in his favor. And he has not, to this day, received compensation for the miscarriage of justice against him. But we hear of our politician, our prime minister, for example, who's the head of the institution, getting a $300 raise. But Jamaican citizens who have been disenfranchised are not being compensated. And the process that Brother Neil outlined tells us why. The system cares not for us. It does not bring out the best in our people. And despite reforms over the years, it has not improved. So the other question is then, what should we do? Let's look at replacement. And to replace is to take the place of something or to put something else in place of another thing. That sounds better to me. I don't know about the audience, but I know about my fellow Uniters, but the general audience, I'm not sure. But let's point this out. If we are to take this current system that invests power, absolute power, in one man who was proven to be untrustworthy, one man who was proven to be part of a system that is untrustworthy, and then replace it with the one that the UIC speak of, and I won't get into the details because our president is here for that, that spreads power out among a group of people selected by the general population and allowed to keep each other in check, then there will be balance and there will be a better Jamaica from it. So it sounds like replacement is a viable option, is the only option, because we have tried reform already. Now, the choice by this government is to reform these colonial laws And the biggest signal of that is them secretly constituting a reform committee. And I say secretly, because committee was only announced to the public after they have been given instruments of authority. They were convened as a committee. And then the people were told, here are the commissioners who will reform the constitution. We didn't get to choose. We didn't get to say this person has an implicit bias, or this person is unsuitable by virtue of his or her profession, or this person is unsuitable because of past actions or utterances. We, the Jamaican people, at home and abroad, never had that choice. So again, another action of a tyrannical government, and yes, I use a strong word, but that's what it tantamount to when the people who you are invested in, and I won't say ruling, but invested in nurturing, supporting, has no choice, no word, no say in how you administer their lives. When the UIC reached out and said, hey, what is the terms of reference of your reform committee? They said, oh Lord, I don't have a document for you. But here's what the terms of reference that they eventually provided us say. And the terms of reference is a guidance document that will tell this committee how to behave and what to do. The terms of reference says, the purpose of this CRC, the Constitutional Reform Committee, is to assist in providing expert guidance and oversight to the government and the people of Jamaica during the constitutional reform process, to inter-ally, and that's just fancy Latin for together, implement the recommendations of the Joint Select Committee on which consensus remains, while helping to build the consensus where it has eroded or is non-existent. On the other hand, on the other related matters, sorry. Now, they talk about consensus being eroded or non-existent. You catch that? Non-existent. Because consensus does not exist as to this terms of reference. Did any of you contribute to the framing of this terms of reference? Nobody in the UIC has. Me, VP Chase, or President, none of us. On behalf of the people that we represent, and none of you as individuals, as Jamaicans, have contributed to this. So this is what they are foisted on us. On March 25th, the UIC requested this terms of reference. 2 days later, they replied to say, we don't have it. We followed up with them on the 12th of April. You see the time lapse? On the 12th of April. And we were told by the responsible ministry that we'll get back to you. And on the 24th of April, when we followed up again, was when they responded and provided us these terms of reference. Do you know what was happening during all that time? The committee was meeting and taking action to reform the ordering council, which we call a constitution. So all of this has been happening secretly, without any input from anyone outside of the colonial political establishment. What do we expect to get from a process like that? A colonial-inspired constitution, where power remains concentrated in the hands of those who believe they are elitists. And when we look at it, they have already said that we will have a ceremonial president. Already. They have not looked at the facts or the facets. They have not consulted the people to hear what the people want. But the declaration has already been made that we will have a colonial president, a ceremonial president, sorry. What does that mean? Them just going to replace the governor general with another man. And that's why the big salary was announced. That salary is not for the governor general, it's for the man that will replace him. So people, we have to be wise and we have to let our voices be heard if we are serious about being free people. Those of you sitting in Canada in the cold became economic refugees because of these systems. Those of you sitting in the cold in the UK, in the US, wherever in Europe you are, because of these systems. And in your latter days, when the warmth of the sun is your friend, you want to come to a Jamaica where your rights to life, liberty, and property is protected from a political establishment that seeks to rip away what you have worked for and invest it in their connected friends so they can create generational wealth and legacy for their people, just like the colonizers used to do. Well, let me not speak about that and continue along this trend. Now, when we got the terms of reference and you look on the document, it tells you how long they have been working at it. They say, oh, we created the document in 2022, we updated it in 2023, and we updated it in March. That's great. So you see, they said they've been working on it for a long time. That's what they wrote on the face, just under the word terms of reference. That's what they wrote to say they have been editing the document over a year. Guess what? When you click on the property tab for that document and look at it, it was created in 2023, a couple of days before they sent it to us and edited the same day. So that terms of reference wasn't being worked on as long as they told us. It was cobbled together when we asked because they needed to give us a document. So their committee was operating without a frame of reference. So my people, now we understand the great secrecy. Now we understand the intention of these neo-colonialists, and I call them that because they have inherited the system and have not sought to make our lives better by making a change or a difference. So, the process is being spirited on us. Right now, we are being distracted by the big salary increases, and rightfully so, because it's disgraceful to have 300 up to 300% increases. And civil servants, nurses, teachers are getting 20% or less. But yet, politicians who believe they have earned that, is seeking to harvest the riches of this country. The UIC has been vocal on this issue. We have published several press releases. The public has not heard it because the mainstream media does not publish the UIC press releases. And before I wrap up, let me just say, the UIC in 2016 started as a lobby organization. In 2010, we became a registered political party. And as a stated fact of the UIC manifesto, the UIC has pledged this form of reform to change our constitution, not reform it, but completely change it. And it is there in the preamble, first paragraph on our website, sitting there looking at us. Feel free to check it out. Just understand that the UIC, throughout this year, last year and the year before, at the heights of the rights debate that engulfed the world, stood for the people and will continue to do so, and will stand for Jamaicans in ensuring that this farce of a constitutional reform end, and that we get a replacement constitution, a real constitution for Jamaicans, by Jamaicans, as what's pledged by us. And we will make sure it's done one way or the other. So my people, the question was to reform or to replace. I believe that proper checks and balances would have prevented the salary increase episode. And I believe that to reform this constitution does not offer us that protection. So a replacement is what the UIC is interested in and what the UIC purports and will support. I thank you for listening. Please enjoy the rest of the presentation. You're muted, Mr. President.
Loves his family.
Start again.
Okay. All right. Our last and final speaker for tonight is Mr. Joseph L. Patterson. He is a husband, father, and patriot like you. He loves his family, community, and country passionately. Mr. Patterson's vision for Jamaica is to create a peaceful, beautiful, and prosperous country where everyone enjoys equal opportunity, equal rights, and equal justice in a free, fair, and productive society. His experience as a chartered and professional accountant, social entrepreneur, and good governance advocate reveals his commitment to accountability, equal opportunity, and integrity. These are the driving forces that fuel his passion and the dedication to replace the current system that benefits the few at the expense of many, to one that will reward everyone according to their own efforts and accountability. So please welcome Mr. Patterson. He'll be speaking on Real or Fake Republic.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. I hope you can hear me clearly. We're having some competition from some entertainment going on next door. So if you feel like dancing, it's dead, it's dead. There's no light. There's no light, it's dead. It's not working. Oh, yeah. So you can't hear what I'm saying, right? Yeah. Can we take off one, take off that one? Take that one off so I can speak clearly here. All right, can we work? Can you hear me? It's too muffled, right? And the sound back there is killing us. The sound, the guys who's doing the stuff, they're checking on it, they're trying to get them to tone down. All right, sorry guys, we're having some serious feedback from feedback here and noise back there. Is getting the best of us right now. But while we're waiting, well, that's not gonna work. Yeah? We'll have to cut this out. Guys, Shar, can you cut this out for me? This Metu. Yeah, just take that off. All right, we're good. All the way down, 0. Thank you. All right, and I'm going to project my voice for you here so you can hear. First of all, please give yourselves a round of applause for being here today. Canada is a very cool place, and we don't live here very closely to everything. We have to drive, some way to get here. So I know many of you here came from different places. Where are you from, my dear? Yes. Maple, not too far. Right. And what's your name? Lorna. Everyone, Lorna is in the house from Maple. Toronto. And my brother at the back there, what's your name? Mr. Milton. From where? Oh, from Alton. Malton. Okay. Mr. Milton from Malton is in the back there. And Mr. Milton has his mask on because he wants to protect me from getting anything. So I appreciate that, Mr. Milton. And my brother on the back there looks like Terminator. What's your name, sir? Davian. From Malton as well. Okay. All right. Wonderful. And I want to big up my Uncle Clive, who was, he's not at the head table here, but he has been doing so many good things around the place, putting up balloons, putting up tablecloth, bringing extension cord, and all of that, and driving, chaperoning our good moderator here. So let's big up Uncle Clive. And he has a wonderful lady beside him, who I had the privilege of having lunch with earlier today. A sweet young lady. She's from Barbados, but he has turned her into a Jamaican. Give her a hand. And I want to thank all of you who have helped in any way, shape, or form. A while ago, we did not introduce the other speakers properly. We only said Chase Neal and Winston Wright. But these two gentlemen are two of the most significant persons in this movement. Mr. Winston Wright is our chairman. Mr. Winston Wright has been there with me over the last 3-4 years through thick and thin, and has really had to take a lot of broad licks on my behalf in trying to help to keep this organization together. So I just want to big up the chairman and thank him very much for all that he has done. Please give him another round of applause. Now, when you see any good press release that goes out, any good one, you see that goes out, it's either Winston or Chase Neal. Chase Neal is our former General Secretary, now VP for Cornwall. Where is he? Oh, there's Chase over there. You can't miss the head there. So Chase Neal, he is an excellent writer, author, speaker, a brilliant mind, and somebody we can always depend on to pencil a very effective press release. Him and Winston are the two people them who write those excellent press releases they see going on. Please give both of them again a round of applause. I want to thank our President General Secretary, Ms. Carleen Ramirez Acosta, who has been the chief architect in pushing for and engineering the kickoff of these town hall meetings. Carleen is a busybody who is always everywhere doing something somewhere to advance the cause of the UIC. Please give her a big round of applause for me as well. Now, of course, I can't name all the names, so I'm not going to go through everybody. But there are two persons who, I always have to mention. One of them is none other than my wife, Mrs. Charlotte Masada Patterson. Where is she? Now, when you see me, it is always and foremost because of her. Always. It's impossible for me to be here without her. And we have adopted a young lady into our family, the UIC family. She's only 22 years old. She took on the position of treasurer for the movement, admin assistant for the movement. And I can tell you that without these two young ladies, well, one not so young, it would not have been possible to do any of the work that we do. So big up Naika Williams, our treasurer and admin assistant. Please give her a big round of applause. I feel like I'm at the end of my presentation. But in any event, I guess so. But I'm going to give some more big up later on. But I wanted to just kind of touch on some of these very important persons right away. Moderator, you know anything already, right? So Sonia Bignut, our second chair for the ambassadorship for Canada. Next in line to our beautiful Miss Emma Gordon, who is not here now. She's in the woods somewhere in Jamaica, getting ready to retire. But she's the one that has organized this Canada Forum group, this Emma Gordon. So wherever you are, Emma, in the back bushes or somewhere on one of the bad road in Jamaica, try to make it from one place to the next. We big you up, we respect you, and we thank you for all that you're doing and have done. Appreciate it. I use some home too. Well, me not yeah, I'm gonna be going home soon. All right. Now down to business. I wish I could welcome each of you personally, but welcome to all of you. Now, we are talking about something that is very, very critical and crucial to the future of Jamaica. We have been suffering from the very first day that Christopher Columbus buck up on the New World. And since he buck up on the New World, some serious things have happened. We have been abducted, we have been robbed, we have been raped, and we have been enslaved. And for 400 years nearly, that went on without fail. And then, due to some people like you here, it became untenable and difficult for slavery to continue. We burned down a few plantations. We chopped up a few people. We stole some of the goods they tried to ship out. We sunk a few ships. We just never take it. Some of us went to Haiti. We were the baddest one in town, the Jamaicans. Some of us went to Haiti and teach them how to be bad, which means to be good. Because to be good is to fight for your freedom. To be foolish is to accept slavery. So some of it went to Haiti and we created some problem, and Haiti became the first true republic the world has ever seen. Because Haiti, they rose up and beat up the French them bad, and take over the country. Now Haiti has been paying a dear price for that ever since, because the powers that be don't want you and me to be free. You know that? So since the day they decided to make us free in 1838, it has not been freedom. It has been trickery. So in 1838, they tricked us. And here's what they said to us in 1838. You are now free. And all of our foreparents clapped and cheered because we thought it was true. A wonderful white woman somewhere way across the ocean in her nice, beautiful Victorian voice had said, you are now free. And we said, what a wonderful woman. We saw her like a saint, an angel, because they taught us what angels look like. Angels don't look like you and me, according to their narrative. Angels have a very different skin color and a very different ear texture, and the nose look a certain way, and the mouth look a certain way, and it's normally different from mine and yours. And so we were impressed, and we cheered. We even worshipped Her Majesty, and they taught us to worship Her Majesty because she freed the slaves in 1838. Now I submit to you that that was a fake freedom. Very simple. You can know why it's a fake freedom. What's your name, my dear? Devon. No, not you, but thank you, Devon. Respect. Right. Devon, I normally go for the lady. Where you from, Devon? No problem, no problem. Where you from, Devon? Spanish Town. Pick up Devon from Spanish Town. Brampton, okay. So Devon from Spanish Town, who is now in Brampton. Devon, I used to live in Brampton on a street called Greenleaf, and before that a street called Glencastle, a little nice 2-story house in a small corner. I bought it for, I won't tell you what, but I got a big price right when I sell it. You know, but Devon, I was talking to the lady there. What's your name there? Paulette. Where are you from, Paulette? Brampton as well. Now, the reason I'm calling you is because I saw that a smile was hidden somewhere under there, and I wanted to see the smile. I know I can tell it's a beautiful smile. Now, they tricked us, my dear. Hear what they tell us. They told us we were free, but instead, when they free us, they held on to our land. Remember, them thief the land from we. It's our land, they thief it from we, and then when they free us, they still hold on to the land. They also stole our labor. Now, labor and land give you capital. When you put labor and land together, you produce sugar, you produce coffee, you produce cotton, you produce all kinds of things. And those things build wealth. And when they freed us, they held on to the land and they held on to the capital that the land and labor produced for them. Now, this is very important. I'm going somewhere with it. Because when they freed us in 1838, that wasn't freedom because we could not have our land and we could not get back the money lost through our labor. So what were we free to do? We were free to beg a job, which is exactly what we're still doing today. We're free to go beg a job. From who? The same people who thief our land and our labor. So we weren't free, my brother. We were tricked in 1838. But hold on a second. What happened between 1838 and 1944 when we got the right to vote? In 1944, when they eventually gave us the right to vote, something amazing should have clicked in our head. If we did free from 1838, how come we just get the right to vote now 106 years later? They see it, a fake freedom. But why did they give us the right to vote in 1944? They gave us the right to vote in 1944 because, again, we started to burn down some plantation and chop up some things and mash up some things and made it a little uneconomical to keep the system the same way. So they changed the system in 1944 in the same way that them changed the system in 1838. So in 1838, they gave us freedom to placate us, to pacify us, to make us no burn down no more and chop up no more. But we started to do it again between 1838 and 1944. So again, they gave us a little more peace. Here's the right to vote now. And we truly believe that now we have power because we can vote. Alas, we find out that that was a fake too. Here's why it was a fake. If I give you the right to vote, but I put a governor over you that I appoint from somewhere else to dictate the terms of your policies and your laws, you're still not free, right? So again, we start to agitate and say something not right. The freedom is not quite free. So we start to burn a few more things again. And so 18 years later, they gave us independence. And I shall prove to you tonight that that independence was just as fake as the 1944 right to vote and just as fake as the 1838 freedom. Because in 1944, what they really did was to get rid of our greatest leader and his political party and the direction that he was about to take us, which was into real freedom, where we would have owned the land, and we would have owned our labor, and we would have built our industries, and we would have been a truly free people. So they had to stop him. They had to kill him. They had to destroy his mission. And so what did they do? They raised up two fake parties with two white men. Because remember, our eyes now had scales on them like Saul. We couldn't see properly. When we looked through our eyes, we needed to see people with lighter skin and wavy hair. We couldn't take the one them that looked dark and have a different kind of texture. So they knew that what would appeal to us was some nice whitish looking men saying, shoot me and leave the people. And so they got us to accept two colonial parties. Hello. Come in, man. Have a seat. Have a seat. They got us to accept two colonial parties. Watch me now. Don't miss this, you know. They got us to accept two colonial parties. We became so attached to them, so endeared by them, so in love with them that we would kill each other for them. And kill each other, we did. By 1980, we killed and murdered 800 or more of ourselves. So our colonial masters were so wise, so smart, because they got us to stop seeing them as the enemy and start to see we as the enemy. You are my enemy, and I am your enemy, and we must fight each other to the bitter end. For what? For scarce benefits and spoils, for crumbs that fall from the master's table. That's what we were now supposed to fight for. And that's what they're doing now in Parliament. They're figuring out new ways to legalize more crumbs to go into their pocket and away from you and me. And so we're going to fight even harder now, because now that we're going to get $25 million to be prime minister and $20 million to be opposition leader, and $7 and $8 and $10 million to be councillor. We're going to fight and kill and murder because we want the money there for ourselves. Because it's now legalized. Before we had to thief it when we got elected. We had to thief it. We had to figure out how to thief it through NHP, how to thief it through land lease, how to thief it through this. But now, can you legalize it? All you have to do is make sure you win. So he's calling upon his men and he's calling upon his women to say, fight for it now. Don't get discouraged now because the whole thing will crumble and 63% now vote for them all. Rise up now and rile up the people and fight for it, because you're going to get 20, 20, 30, 40 million now. You follow me? But I want to tell you something. There's more to it than that. And I'm going to tell you this before I show you anything else. Your current prime minister and your opposition leader figured out something that you never saw. And I'm going to unveil that to you tonight. If you understand what I say to you tonight, you will never, ever, 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 ever again vote for, think about, love, like, or appreciate anything about these two parties, because you're now going to see how wicked and heartless and cruel they are. When PJ Patterson, my namesake, left office, or was about to leave office, he changed the law just before he left office. Just like how Andrew, I changed the law now, just before I lose the next election. PJ Patterson changed the law. What did he change it to? He changed the law to say all former prime ministers must get the salary of a sitting prime minister as his pension. So PJ Patterson ensured that after him leave office, whatever amount he might have taken while he was in office, and will no longer have direct access to take after he leaves office, he is codifying it in law to make sure him get it in perpetuity. In other words, for the rest of his life. So when PJ left office, and subsequent to him, we have now had Edward Seaga, Bruce Golden, Portia. They were all getting a prime minister's salary and still are, and their widow will get it after them if the widow is alive. So Mr. Seaga, as a former prime minister, was getting a prime minister's salary until him dead. Portia Simpson Miller, former prime minister, is getting a prime minister's salary until she dead. Bruce Golden, former prime minister, is getting a prime minister's salary until him dead. When Andrew Holness becomes a former prime minister, he will be getting not what PJ and them used to get. He is now going to get twice that amount plus some for the rest of his life. He's a young man, 50 plus years old, which means if he lives the average life of former prime ministers, those who live beautiful lives, it's very likely we'll be paying him $25 million for the next 40 years. For the next 40 years, for the next 40 years, for the next 40 years, when we vote out Andrew, he will be getting over 20, and by the way, it will adjust. It will go up to 26 and 28 and 30 for the next 40 years. That's what this is about. When he leaves office, win or lose, he gets that for the next 40 years. Multiply that out, you're talking about over $1 billion. That is how wicked these people are. For the next 40 years, if him live that long. But if him don't live that long, it falls to his wife. If she lives that long. Huh? Until she's dead. That's how the pension thing works. So watch me carefully. After he has passed, which he has already done it, he has like a king, it's an edict. Effective April 1, we'll get this new number. So not just him, Portia Simpson Miller will be getting that. PJ Patterson, still hanging around, will be getting that. So we, the Jamaican people, will be paying Andrew, Portia, Bruce, anybody else alive? PJ, Lord have mercy. So we'll be paying 4 prime ministers, $25 million, or whatever the number works out to be at whatever point, for the next however many years. Have you ever seen any skillful trick like that yet? So after we fire him in the next election, we're still going to be paying for him. And then the future ones now who come will be fighting like hell to get it. That's why Phillips held on for so long and tried so hard. Now, Mr. Chairman Winston Wright explained to you earlier on, and Mr. Chase as well, explained to you how the system of governance works generally and why they're doing this. I want to now break this down for you again. Some of you might see it again for the second time. I want to show it on screen. I don't know if I can. Naika, can I share my screen? Let me see if I can share my screen here.
You can.
Let me see if I can share my screen. Can you all see that? All right.
Yep.
Wonderful. Okay, let me see. This will work.
Yes,
All
we
right.
can.
Yes. Well, it's bigger on mine, but probably not bigger on yours. All right, so what I'm going to do now, with your permission, I'm going to break down for you the current system as it is and the future system that we want. Because why are we here today? We're here today because all of you want a better Jamaica. You want a Jamaica that's better for you, and if not for you, for your grandchildren, if not for them, for your great-grandchildren. The UIC is here to give that to you. Now, many of you are sitting wondering, why should we trust Mr. Patterson and the UIC? How different will they be from these guys? Well, when you see what I'm about to show you, you'll see why you can trust us. Because when we get in, we're not going to be able to thief the money from you the way they have done. Because we're changing the system to stop anyone from stealing from you anymore. Right? So let's step back a bit and see if we can first of all understand who the UIC is. So the first thing you need to know is our vision for Jamaica. We want a Jamaica that brings out the best in all its people. The current system that we have in Jamaica does the very opposite of this. It makes us into scammers. It makes us into criminals. So Jamaica has a culture of criminality, a culture of scamming. It makes us antisocial. It makes us lacking in trust. You know, in Jamaica, we can't form companies where we come together and build massive businesses because we're afraid of each other. So we scam each other all the time. So the Chinese come in and them organize and take over. The Indians come in, them all. I mean, I'm not against them, you know. If I were in their shoes, I'll do the same thing. If me could go to China and take over for them country, would I do it too? But our politicians make it easy for them to come to our country and take over our country. So them come and do it. So the Chinese are not our problem. The Indians are not our problems. The Americans are not our problems. The British are not our problems. We are our problem. And as long as we continue to allow our politicians to lead us down this path, we will continue to fail and lose. So the UIC is about changing that. So our vision is to create a new Jamaica where the system is meritocratic and it brings out the best in us by design. If you have a company, what your name say, you look like my grandfather. What's your name? Your name, yes. Yeah, man, you. There's no woman beside you. So, Mr. Johnson, where are you from, Mr. Johnson? Brampton. Only for Brampton people there. Respect. All of you. All right, big up Brampton, big up Brampton, big up Brampton, big up Brampton. All right. Brampton run the show. So, you look like my grandfather. See if somebody come in and hot and long back there and check out the thing. Now, I'm sure that you'd like to retire to Jamaica, right? To Jamaica. Yeah, right. You're retired, right? Because you have good health care. That's all. You have good health care here. You have good health care here. Yes. You have good road. Yes. And you feel safe where you live. There you go. So if Jamaica could afford to give you good health care and good road and you feel safe, you'd have retired or so. Of course, because you'd have the wonderful sunshine, no more cold. When it's cold, it hurts your bones, that's all. Yeah. That's why I believe here and go back to Jamaica. So our vision is for a Jamaica that will bring out the best in all of us. The current system makes us divisive, angry, vicious, vindictive. I tell you something, just trying to build this political party teach me a lot about my people. My people don't like to work to build anything. They like it ready-made. They want it to come ready-made. That's why the Chinese products sell so easy in our country. We don't want to build nothing. And when something is built, we prefer to tear it down. If the white man build it, we're going to help him. If the Chinaman build it, we're going to help him. But if a black man build it, we're going to kill him. That is the kind of system. That's what we have become. But we need to change that. You understand? So from this vision comes our mission, which might be a little peculiar to you because the words are sometimes new. We want to build a non-partisan constitutional republic. What on earth is that? Right now, our colonial masters tricked us into a partisan system, a system where we have government and opposition, and we fight each other and come out with something. Who tell us that's so if we run government? The white man said that, and we have followed it. America did not build its country on that system. Britain didn't build its country on that. They have it now, because this system is a controlling system. It's not a developmental system. It's a controlling mechanism. It keeps you divided so you stay at a certain level and allows some people to control you. You follow me? So we have to get rid of the partisan nature of our politics. And that's why the UIC has created a non-partisan constitutional republic system. I'm going to tell you what each word means. So non-partisan means we're going to do away with party as the focus and make policy and people the focus. Constitutional means we're going to do away with the whims of men and make the rule of law designed to protect your sovereignty as an individual paramount. And I'll explain more about that later. And republic means for the first time in the history of the Black man, we're going to have real freedom. And I'll explain more of that. This is undergirded by two principles: individual liberty and personal responsibility, which means you must be truly free, but you must take responsibility for it. Follow me? Good. Our pledge, therefore, encapsulates what we mean. Can you see clearly? The pledge, can you see? You can see it, right? A simple pledge. As one who loves my life, my liberty, and the right to earn, own, and freely enjoy my property, I pledge to respect and help to protect the life, liberty, and property rights of all others. To do my part in helping my fellow citizens to create a safe, clean, and orderly society where all may live, earn, and retire with dignity in true liberty, and where unprovoked force and fraud are abolished from all human relationships, so that we may finally become one Jamaica, united, strong, and free. If anybody wants to work for you, they must know what their values are. For some people, the most important values are Christianity. For some, it's Hinduism. For some, it's the Muslim faith. For some, it's atheism. The UIC is all-encompassing and all-embracing. We're not here to defend and promote any particular religion or any particular persuasion. We're here to defend and promote your rights as individuals. So it begins with the foundation of individual liberty, and it's coupled with your personal responsibility. That's the first core value that drives this movement. We also believe in equal opportunity, equal rights, and equal justice for all. And none of that can be enjoyed without a safe, clean, and orderly society. So these are our values. So everything you hear us talk about emanates from these core principles. Politics, the way you have been taught, the way you have learned it, is more about gimmicks. Politicians offering you all kinds of gimmicks to win your votes, trick you for 4 to 5 years, steal your money, and then wait another turn to do it all over again. We are a party of principle. We're a movement of destiny. We're an organization that's committed to your personal development and prosperity. And so our philosophy begins with the statement, it is the right of every human being to be free. We're not free, my friends. That's why they're going to be able to pass laws to take away your right to cash. They're going to pass laws that says, if you don't do what we say, we'll turn off your access to money. They call it digital currency. They'll pass laws that if they give you some kind of support payment checks, they'll tell you when it's going to expire. If you don't use it by the time they tell you to, and to buy what they want you to buy, they're going to turn it off. That's where we're heading towards. We're heading to a society, a future where government is God. And those of you who are Christians understand what I mean. Because the Bible may sound cryptic sometimes about the mark of the beast, but there are some people who really believe that they should decide what you can buy or sell, and when you can buy and sell, and who you can buy and sell from. Well, the UIC is 100,000% opposed any system that denies you the freedom of choice, the freedom of speech, the freedom of movement, or the freedom of association. We will fight to the bitter end to defend your right to be a free man and a free woman. That's what Nanny fought for. That's what Sharp died for. That's what Bogle and Gordon were hanged for. And that's what Marcus Garvey lived and preached about every single day. Our people have suffered long and hard for the little freedoms that we now have. And we must not allow 1 inch of them to slip away, and we must get the rest that was denied us to this day. That's why I slaved and formed the UIC. That's why I fight to keep the UIC alive. And though they block us on radio and they block us on television, and though they send the people inside and outside to try to destroy this movement, I fight on because I know what is at stake. I saw this day long before it came. I saw the pandemic long before it came upon us. Not so much the exact nature of what they will use, but that they will use something. They will use anything to take away the right to your bodily autonomy. They've done it already. They did it with free healthcare. Because when they give you something for free, it means they're taking away your freedom. So free healthcare means you become addicted and dependent on their system of pharmaceutical drugs. Free education means you become brainwashed to follow them and their system and become a cog in a wheel where you work day and night and you can never make ends truly meet. That's their goal. It has worked, by the way. It has worked so well that when the parliamentarians announced their 100 and 200 and 300% pay raise, only a handful of Jamaicans turned up to protest. But we're not give up yet. On June 10th of this year, if the government does not stand down on these pay raises, if the government does not give us good governance before they even talk about a pay raise, this UIC movement is going to lead a demonstration like never seen before, Paul Bogle. And we're going to make sure that by the hook or by the crook, they either roll it back or something else will roll. We're not going to give in, and we're not going to give up, because this is our country, this is our land, this is our life. And the time has come for us to take it back. So our philosophy begins with, it is the right of every man to be free. Therefore, the only moral justification of government is to protect the life, the liberty, and the property rights of every citizen equally. What is your property right? Them thief the land from us, and they must return that land to us now. There should be no Jamaican that's landless whose parents suffer the indignity of slavery. So we're going to defend your property rights. We're going to make sure the land is yours. Good governance, therefore, is the protection of your individual liberty, the promotion of personal responsibility, and the provision of a safe, clean, and orderly Jamaican society. Not one where you have to have burglar bar up on every door and window. You know how much money you lose to have to put so much steel around your house? If that money that you put into steel for burglar bars on your door and your window was placed into an account from the time you build your house until now, a whole heap of money that we're losing money to import steel to put ourselves behind bars. Think about it. We lose billions to buy steel, not to build ships and cars and electronic devices, but to put ourselves behind bars. That's what we're spending export dollars for. God forbid, we need to fire them quickly. So good governance means protecting our liberty, because this is the only sure way for us to enjoy prosperity in our country. With that said, I want to just quickly show you how diabolical the system is. Believe it or not, Jamaica has never been free. We have never enjoyed any form of independence. We're still a dependent colony controlled by the colonial masters through various means. One of the means by which they have been controlling us is through the PSOJ organization of Jamaica. The private sector organization of Jamaica, where the richest, most powerful, big business sit atop the system and decide how they will manipulate the puppets that we call politicians in Jamaica. I know they're afraid of what I'm saying right now. They're scared to death that the Jamaican people will fully understand what we are talking about. These two parties could do nothing at all, without the funding of the PSOJ. They could do nothing. If the PSOJ said, we want fixed election date, and if you don't do that, you get no funding for the next election, we would have fixed election date. If the PSOJ said, we want job description for every single politician with metrics so we can measure their performance, and if you don't give it, we'll give you no money for the next election, we would have job description. So that tells me that for the last 80 years that they have been funding these two parties, them don't want them changes there. If the PSOJ wanted proper checks and balances, we would have that already, because they'd have said to these two parties, we're not giving you the $300 million we gave you last year. So guess what? We have to understand the trick there and realize that they've been tricking us and tricking us. Even now, the PSOJ come on TV and say, oh, we need to do better with our governance and you need to change this. I lie them a tell. They don't mean a word of it. Because if they meant a word of it, it would have been done in 2020, would have been done in 1990, would have been done in 1980, would have been done in 1970, would have been done in 1960. Look what they did to Michael Manley. When they didn't like what Michael Manley was trying to do, them shut him down. Who shut him down? The PSOJ shut him down with the help of the colonial masters at the top. Allow me to tell. So they are responsible ultimately for the Jamaica you see today. They control these two parties. The PSOJ oligarchs, those who give the $300 million and more to these two parties, they are the ones controlling your country. And who controls them? They're foreign masters. Together, the colonial foreign masters and the PSOJ oligarchs, they control mainstream media and social media. They can decide what content you're going to see and what content you're not going to see. They can decide who want to make Mr. Patterson look bad, show only bad things and hide any good things. And listen, they're going to come after me. The more this thing picks up, they're going to come after me. They're going to tell you that me and my wife have problems. They're going to tell you that me and my dog have problems. They're going to tell you me thief something from somebody. They're going to try to find anything to smear my character and undermine the movement, just like they did to Marcus Garvey. In the 1930s, the late 1930s, the Gleaner Company, which was the then primary media, they smeared him and smeared him and smeared him and chased him out of town. Back to England, boy. You understand? And they destroyed the Marcus Garvey political party. And they're going to try the same with the UIC. That's why you don't see it on radio and television. That's why it's oppressed and suppressed on social media. So if we don't get up and stand up and fight for our rights, they will deny you any opportunity to escape their modern form of slavery. They're very effective. Don't underestimate them. We can't match them with money. My little pitons can't do it, which is why the UIC is a grassroots movement funded by ordinary Jamaicans like me and you, giving our 1 cocoa to make it work. So this system here that I'm showing you on screen is how they control the mainstream media, the GLP, the PNP, and social media, so that they can do it. Here's what they do to us. They use these two parties as controlled oppositions to divide us, distract us, while they quickly and efficiently extract our wealth from us. Yeah? So look at what they're doing now. They're now passing a law. Watch me. The PNP is the weakest it has ever been. The PNP party. It has never been weaker than it is now. The JLP is hated by a mass of people in Jamaica. So what is your choice? The PSOJ know that there's only two choices you have. They want you to believe you only have two choices. You can only vote Labour or PNP. So if you don't like what Andrew do, you have to vote PNP. And if you vote PNP, you're going to get exactly what Andrew do. You're going to get a nicer, milder looking version of Andrew. They can keep the ugly, sorry, I didn't mean to say that. They can keep, let me rephrase. They can see that version or this version, but it's the same outcome. The same outcome. We have been voting PNP and GLP since 1944. The first election, 1944, we elected Bustamante as our first prime minister, the GLP as our first government. And what did they do with those first 2 terms? They disappointed us and we voted PNP. And what did the PNP do with those first 2 terms? They disappointed us and we voted GLP. And what did GLP do with those next 2 terms? They disappointed us and we voted PNP. And what did PNP do with those 2 terms? They disappointed us and we voted GLP. And like a seesaw, we just go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Until one time we get fed up and we give the PNP 18.5 years straight. 18.5 years straight to fix the healthcare system, fail. To fix the education system, fail. To fix the transportation system, fail. To fix the road network, fail. To fix the economy, fail. 18.5 years straight, and them still fail. And prior to that, we gave Mr. Siaga, well, they took it. They took all 60 seats in the House of Parliament. Never before in the history, one party had all 60 seats after the 1980 tragic, evil, vicious election. And with all 60 seats, did they fix healthcare? No. Did they fix education? No. Did they fix roads? No. Did they fix our economy? No. Instead, when them done, the debt is so big, so heavy, so monumental. We had to now go through years and years of austerity and suffer. And then at the end of it, they say, now that we have suffered long enough to pay off all the debt, not all, but a lot of it, let's give ourselves a big fat raise, eh? Let's clap them. Let's give ourselves a big fat raise. Yeah, that's what they're saying. We have done so well for you guys. Let's give ourselves a big fat 200% raise because we have done so well. We deserve all of this money because, the prime minister says, no, he says, no. Now that we're going to take this big raise, we're now going to be more accountable. I used to think that the way you get a raise is that you perform above your pay grade and then they raise your pay. I never know that you perform below your pay grade and then you get a raise to build up your pay grade. That don't make no sense to me. But the Prime Minister said it makes sense to him. And we must just suck it up because the opposition wanted to. So as long as the two of them want it, it no matter what me and you want. That's why during the pandemic, when 70% of us said we don't want the juke, the Prime Minister said, you must take the juke. Because him says so. And the Health Minister said, if you want water in your community, you must take the juke. No, seriously. This is the kind of leadership we have in this country, where them decide what you must get, and you vote them in and decide what you must get. But guess what? And you vote them in. You did not vote them in. They bought the votes. 63% of us didn't vote. Nearly 2/3 of us didn't vote. So who voted? Those who were willing to seldom vote or mentally defected to know the difference. You see what I'm saying? So on a serious note, we have a serious problem because 63% of us don't want them, but we can't do nothing about it. Or can we? That's what the UIC is about. Let us do something about it. So I want to show you now their system. Learn this. You need to understand their system. I think Mr. Chase spoke about it and Mr. Winston hinted at it. Look at this carefully. Look at that chart on the board. Look carefully. That chart tells you that the Queen of England, well, no, it's the king. I made this almost 5-6 years ago. I haven't changed it. Nowadays, gender no matter. The king might cut off something and become a queen. So the whole thing changed now. It twists up. Doesn't matter. King or queen, same thing. Now, the king of England sits at the top. Now, let me ask you a simple question. I want you to answer yes or no and shout it out. It's a simple question. Just say yes or no and shout it out. If somebody abducted you, robbed you, raped you, beat you, and enslave you, and then turn around and write for you a constitution and say, here's how you must live your life, would you accept it, yes or no?
No.
Would you accept it, yes or no?
No.
So everybody here
No.
So our leaders, the one that will give us the constitution, they went to England and took a piece of paper there and said, this is good for Jamaica. And they come back to us and enforce it. Now remember, in 1962, most of it couldn't read. Most of it couldn't write. Not because we didn't want to, but because the colonial masters ensured we couldn't. The way you keep people as slaves, there are 3 things you must do to keep people in slavery. Number 1, you must make sure that they're afraid. You must use fear. Fear, we're going to kill you, or fear, you're going to lose your job. Some kind of fear. Number 1. Number 2, you must keep them ignorant. Make sure they don't know where I'm going. What I'm doing right now is to making sure you know where I'm going. So number 1, fear. Right now, there are many Jamaicans afraid to step out and join the UIC because they're afraid for them job. They're afraid say they're going to be victimized. So we have a hard time finding candidates because they're afraid. Big man and woman who should have sense are afraid. Afraid for their jobs, afraid for their lives. So you know the system can't good. If people are afraid to speak their political position, it means something wrong with the system there. So they use fear, and they use ignorance. Right now, you have some very bright, ignorant people in Jamaica. That's called an oxymoron, right?
Yes.
Some bright, ignorant people in Jamaica. Educated fools. They're on TV every day. They're on radio every day. They call them talk show hosts, university lecturers, and professors. They know everything and can't stop them to gang here from thief them. They know everything, you know. They can tell you everything from Columbus was born to when Shaka Zulu dead. They can tell you everything. But they can't manage, they can't stand up against two little gangs. Two gangs. They can't stand up against them. They can talk. They can talk until thine kingdom come. You know them. Monty Perkins, beautiful guy, very brilliant. But did he ever lead a party to do what we are doing? No. Barbara Gluden, brilliant. Did she ever lead a party? No. A little dance boy like me, if I come from Spanish Town Secondary, if I come do it. Cliff Hughes. Yap. And don't get me wrong, I don't mean to be facetious or anything, but I'm just tired of the talking. I years me, I listen from my boy, I listen radio. I mean hear them, oh, you know, PNP and this and that. And they're talking. If you're not so bright, one of the farmer group like Marcus Garvey, and let's just fix the thing. No. You know why? Because after they talk, they go on the side and get a little thing. Just the other day, one of the talking heads or the talkers got appointed to the Senate. So while he was talking, and we thought he was a journalist, unbiased, he might work for one of them. And that's how all of them is. Many of the brilliant minds in Jamaica have lost the ability to think outside of the money they get around the corner from these politicians. They can't stand up for anything. Well, I, Joseph Patterson, decide that me gonna stand up. My mother was a strong PNP, a veteran PNP, working in the trenches. And I said to her, mommy, you're wrong. You are wrong. We must not support these two parties because they're dividing us, distracting us, and allowing a small group of elites to thief our money from us. I said that to my mother. And you don't want to say that to my mother. She would die for my command. I said, mommy, you cannot fight for these parties. You need to fight for Jamaica. Clap now, you can clap for that. Yeah, people some motivation too, you know. That's one way thing, you know what I mean? The two-way thing, right? Yeah. So, as I was saying, you see this little diagram here? The queen is at the top, or the king, which means our colonial politicians love the queen and the king. They don't want to change the system. They want to keep the system. They want to keep this system. They don't want to change it. So what they're doing now in terms of so-called reform, they want one of two outcomes. Outcome number one, they get us so confused, we'll vote to stay with the king. They'll be happy for that. They'll say, praise the Lord. That was close, eh? Shoot. Outcome number two, we'll vote for the foolishness that put before us and give us a fake republic. You understand me? Where you just change the name of Governor General to President and play around with a few more things and say, yeah, you're not a republic, but the system remains the same. The same thieving system stay in place. They can still thief everything from way, just the same way, but now we call it a republic, like Barbados did. Barbados is a fake republic. Guyana is a fake republic. Trinidad is a fake republic. Even America, the closest they came, is a fake republic. The UIC, right here, so not here, but there, in Jamaica, will give the world its first ever real republic. Okay, you cannot have a republic if you do not protect the sovereignty of the individual, not just the collective. That's important, but you must protect the sovereignty of the individual. That is a republic. And so our this little system they have here, what I show you now, say you can vote. So that little box there says, the people vote for their MPs. That's a trick. The people don't vote for their MPs. The rich elite decide who will be a credible MP because the people will only vote for those who they see. So the rich elites provide money to the two parties they control, which then gives us candidates that they control, and then tell us we have a choice to vote between them. So here it is. Let's say me and Miss Mignet are the two candidates, green or something like that, kind of greenish. And well, yeah. So remember, the two of us are only here because we're sponsored by the rich elite in the back. Now, let's say you wanted to run, my brother. Let's say no, they like you. You too rootsy. You too Marcus Garvey-ish. You want to do real things. No money for you. But you can run as an independent. Okay, I'm an independent. I'm an independent. Nobody can hear you. No radio. If I put it on radio, it's because you're mad. Or TV. You're so angry and mad. So when you go on, you sound like you want to tear up the world. This is it. That's the independent over there. You won't have any nice, beautiful acts that says, look at this beautiful two people, one from that side, one from this side. Please give your vote to one of these beautiful people because they're beautiful. Please vote for them. One of them. Any one of them you want to vote for. Vote for one. Because whichever one you vote for, you're still voting for the PSOJ. You follow me? And that's what we have been doing for the last 80 years. That's what we have been doing for the last 80 years. We have been voting for the PSOJ oligarchy that controls these two parties, controls the candidate, and therefore controls the government of Jamaica. And that's why we can't get affordable housing. That's why we can't get a good, decent education system. That's why the economy is so designed as a low-wage economy that the mass of people work for little and nothing, and a few up on the top, like the Prime Minister now, want to take $25 million or more. You follow me? So in this system, the big money controls the outcome. And when you finally elect them, the Prime Minister has power over everything. The Prime Minister controls the Senate. The Prime Minister controls the House. Why? Because everybody in the House wants a ministerial job and only him can give. And if him give, him can take it away by himself. And everybody in the Senate wants a ministerial position. And if him give, him can take it away. And why do they want those positions? The pay is so high. Why do they want it? Because when they get the position, they can thief. Because now you can sign off on contract. You can give a girlfriend a contract. Was it at the health ministry to give a girlfriend a contract? Or maybe a Petra job, you can give, you know, whatever it is. You have all kind of access now to create creative ways, creative accounting, to thief money out of the government. That's why they want a ministerial position. He's saying, no, that's going to give them a higher salary. They won't do that anymore. He says, when I give them a higher salary now, they won't want to do that anymore. They'll want to just enjoy the high salary. And think we're food. Yeah. So that's a system. Now I'm going to jump now quickly to our system. Now this one, I have to slow down a bit because you really want to get this one. This system here is the mother of all systems. It begins with the Constitution at the top, not the Queen or the King or the genderless entity. So this one now begins with the Constitution being written to supersede any man or woman. So whoever we elect in the future, they're constrained by well thought out laws and rules that limits their ability to destroy us. So if you're good, this Constitution will empower you to do good. And if you're bad, this Constitution will restrict you from doing bad. And it's called the rule of law versus the whims of men. Right now, we suffer from the whims of men. Prime Minister wake up one morning, let's give ourselves a 200% raise. That's whimsical. Yeah? We must have strict rules that prevent him from saying that. I can say it, but it can't happen. And I'll show you how. This system now comes down to every citizen being sovereign. But here's the kicker or the clincher. It is a 100% publicly funded system, meaning no big money can buy out the system now. Why? Because every person who wants to run simply have to qualify. So it means you have the education, the experience, and you have taken a good governance test to prove that you understand governance. You understand good governance. And then you go to your community, and you get a few people to sign off and say, I would like you to run. And when they sign off, they're giving you their vote, so they have to take it seriously. And then once that is done, every candidate gets the same thing. The same newspaper, radio, TV, internet, town hall, and debate. Every one of them the same way. So now they're on the same playing field. So if you're rich, you have no financial advantage because it's the same system. If you're poor, you have no disadvantage because you don't have to have any money to run. It's now the content of your character. Your ability to generate good, sound ideas and policies and present that to your fellow men and women. Rich or poor, the door is open to you. So now the best and brightest can come forward, not because of the pay. That's what the Prime Minister is saying. Because of the pay, the best and brightest might come forward. No, in our system, the best and brightest come forward, not because of the pay, but because there's no barrier to prevent them from coming forward. There's no financial barrier and there's no built-in bias to stop your grandson, your daughter, your brother, you from coming forward and saying, I want to serve, and the system allowing you to do that. As long as you have the character, as long as you have the ideas, as long as the people want to hear from you, nobody can stop you. That's our system. So it's going to have now an elected Senate. Right now, the senators in the old system are appointed by the Prime Minister and the leader of the opposition. So two parties get to appoint the senators. No, in our system, all 14 senators are elected, one per parish. In the current system, 21 senators are appointed by party leaders. What kind of foolish is that? So in our system, you run for the Senate, you get elected, one per parish. In our system, we elect a president directly by the people, not some party leader becoming leader of the executive. We want our president to be elected by the people nationally. And that president is going to be head of state and head of government. Cut out the extra salary. Right now, you're paying two people, a figurehead, meaningless governor general, sucking out some $250 million out of our coffers, plus 34 million for his salary. What a waste of time. Yeah, get rid of that. One man or woman, chief executive officer, like a company, that's all. And guess the beautiful thing is we no longer have government and opposition, we just have representatives. So you sit around a circle, you don't sit on sides. Yeah? If you started a company tomorrow, my friend, and you divide your board into two and say one is government and one is opposition, the company mash up. You want a board that sits together, dialogue, analyze, make decisions, not based on which side you're on, but what's good for the company. And then you have a good company. So we are going to mash down this lie that they have put us under called partisan politics and create a Congress, a united independence Congress where we have independent thinkers. That's where we're going. And so we're going to merge central government and local government and just have government. We need for a fight about who for road this, parochial road versus, no, I just feel a road. Every road, I feel a road. So we don't want to argue about whether a local government road or central. No, just one road. Fix the whole of the road there. Just fix the road. Have one plan, and plan say from St. Thomas to St. James, from St. Elizabeth to St. Anne, from St. Thomas to Portland, from Hanover to Trelawney, from Clarendon to St. Elizabeth, from St. Mary to St. Anne. Just fix all of the road them on a schedule and give that to well-trained, well-equipped, smart Jamaican civil engineers. And send China home.
Amen.
It's that simple. And if we design our asphalt roads properly and put some concrete ones in, they will last for the 16 years instead of the 6 months. And if we maintain the cracks as soon as they appear by having a public works department that goes around normally and regularly with well-employed persons, we'll fix them. So we won't have the whole heap of pothole. You'll have a few dents here and there, like in Toronto, but nothing major. They can now drive and look around rather than have to steer down. They can drive and say, oh, what a beautiful scenery over there. No, we're done with that. You must can drive comfortably, and you and your girlfriend or your wife, you know, a drive where you can look out and enjoy the scenery. That's what the UIC is about. We want to make sure every community in Jamaica look like a tourist resort, not for tourists. Every community must look, smell, and feel like a tourist resort for me and you, for we the people, and then the tourists come and enjoy it with us. And when the tourists come to enjoy it, they mustn't go each up in an all-inclusive unless they really want to go there. They want to spend the money in the community and eat our yam and our banana and our jerk chicken. Yeah. And our roast pork. Yes. And our manish water. And so now you get the money spent locally among the local farmers, among the local people, rather than having foreign companies owning these all-inclusive resort, importing food, and then spending the money back on imports and giving a pittance to the staff them, and then say we have a tourism product and boast about it. No, I'll boast when the tourists are going to every community and I spend the money that's there. So, in our system, we have 3 vice presidents, and that was very tactical. Because if you have 1 vice president, they might want to bump off the president and take over. So we have 3. So none of them know which one of them going to be the president if the president kind of drop out. So 1 for Cornwall, 1 for Middlesex, 1 for Surrey, and they sit in the executive branch. Now I could tell you more, but I've told you enough so far for you to understand the field. And one day I'll go into more detail, but this sets the framework for a good quality country, because here what happened. Now the executive branch will be separate from the House and from the Senate. Right now, they mix up together. I'll show you. The Prime Minister comes from the House, and he brings some friend from the House in the executive, and he brings some friend from the Senate that him appoint in the executive. So they mix up. So when them teeth the stuff, they cover for each other. When you separate them now, and make the one them in the House can't touch the money because they're not allowed, only the executive branch, they're going to watch them like a hawk. Where that go? Where that go? Where that go? You follow me? And the Senate will be doing the same thing too. What's going on with my parish? Why this budget line don't include none for my parish? So now you're going to have a proper check and balances going on. So that's what we want to have. We don't have that now because the system we have now is very, very flawed. Not flawed, designed to deceive, designed to defraud. And so the time has come for us to change the system once and for all. So in our new system, I'm just going to jump that, it will be illegal to ask for and receive donations. It will be illegal to offer and to give donations to candidates under the new system. Why? Because it's 100% public. And parties will not be allowed to fund campaigns directly or indirectly. Thank you, my dear. Oh, you may have it. Thank you. I just have the best wife. We have been married now for how long? 29 years. 29 years. We're talking about it earlier today. At 13, you remember the number. So we're at lunch today and we're talking because my uncle have this nice young chick, you see? And in my show off, I mean, a nice, new young chick and stuff. So my show off, so I say, hold on, boss. I won't tell you the first part of the story, but Mr. Hold on, but I met my wife on a dating platform at Spanish Town Secondary in the 8th grade. We were what, 14 then? 14? Or 14, right? 13, no, 13, 14. Yes. So we have been friends now for 38 years and married for 29. Wow. Yeah. So she's not only the mother of my children, not only my wife, but my business partner. And the best business partner you can have is your spouse. The best one. Because if them thief the money from you, are still in the same house with them. All right, tell you what, I'm going to stop this now because I'm going to stop this now. Hold on. How do I get out of this? Let me see. I'm going to stop sharing. Because I wanted to talk to you now before we're going to the question and answer period. Here we go. Stop sharing. Stop sharing. Here we go. I'm not a perfect human being. I have made many mistakes in my life. I started this journey 10 years ago. I came back to Jamaica 2011 after living in Canada for a number of years. And when I migrated to Canada because of my wife, because she had left high school and went away and left me in Jamaica. And we decided to make a commitment that after college, we're going to get married. So she went away to Canada and she took care of business and got herself educated. And I was in Jamaica. I went to UTech, got a, what do they call it now? Engineer. I did electrical engineering at UTech, full scholarship. And then we decided that we're going to get married right after college. And we got married. And the question was, where are we going to live? Will we live in Jamaica or will we migrate to Canada? And my wife, being the smarter of the two, said that, you know, given the condition of our healthcare system, should rather take the chance of having kids overseas in Canada where she had learned about the system. So I went, but she knew that the very day that I landed in Canada, that my heart was still back home in Jamaica. I love Canada. I respect Canada. It has opened my eyes to a lot of things. It has provided me a lot of opportunities. I have worked my way up from waiting table and mopping floors to becoming director of finance in the government right here in this beautiful country. I studied accounting here, became a CPA, became a CGA. I have worked in magnificent companies, building systems, working with people from all around the world. I've worked with 120 different countries. I have had the chance to go to China, to Myanmar, to Africa, to India, to countries in Europe, Germany, England, France. So I've seen the world, and this country afforded me those opportunities. And it has built me together with the foundation that was laid by people like Miss Johnson at Miss Johnson Basic School in Marvally, Kingston, and Miss Reed, Juliet Reed from Dunrabin Primary up on Constant Spring Road, and Miss Little, my grade 6 teacher, yes, and to Spanish Town Secondary with Miss O'Connor and Miss Wallace and those teachers who put so much into me. And my grade principal at Stats, when I went to Stats, Isaac Henry, who said, Mr. Patterson, don't cry over spilled milk, mop it up. So I learned to take the hard knocks and the hard blow. And so coming back to Jamaica now and looking around for the first 2 years, connecting with the system again and seeing my people as we struggle the way we know how and survive the way we know how, I said to myself, there's no way that these two parties would ever fix this country. And so I set out on a mission. I'm going to do the impossible. I'm going to do the improbable. And I'm going to start a movement, which then became a political party, and fought and fought and fought until 2019, December 2nd, 2019. Yeah. No, it's the second actually. Yeah, I kind of mix up sometimes. The 2nd December 2019, we finally got approval from the Electoral Commission of Jamaica to be Jamaica's official third political party. Yeah. It was a major struggle. difficult struggle because they didn't want it to happen. And since then, it has been like a Vietnam War, trying to get us to the place where we can transform Jamaica. And so now I am counting on each and every one of you here and all of you online to rise up to the challenge and say, let us make this Jamaica's reality. That system you just saw me outline there, it is my gift to you. It is the UIC's gift to you. Let's not waste this last window of opportunity. If you know the cost and sacrifice for all of us, to our chairman, Mr. Winston Wright, our general secretary, Carly Ramirez Acosta, our treasurer, Naika Williams, our vice president for Cornwall, Mr. Chase Neal, our vice president for Middlesex, Miss Dr. Coretta B. Brown Johnson, our vice president for Surrey, Miss Jasmine Powell, Director Dr. Harvey, Director Janet Chakanowski, Director Christine Simpson-Mensah, Parish Manager Vincenza Crawford, Parish Manager Garth Barnett. All these people, together with my wife and I, and many others, are struggling to give Jamaica this last hope. Our diaspora group right here in Canada, Mr. Howard, Ms. Mignut, Clive, Barbados Queen. All these people, those in the US, John and Elsa Price, US, Canada, Mr. West, Mr. Keith Romans, the UK, Rosemary King, Clive Morrison from the UK, Ventus Brown from the UK, many other names I could call. These people are sacrificing to give us this hope. We must not allow this one to slip away. The door is closing. They're trying to put into law to legalize the theft. The last remaining dollar, they're planning to legalize that. They're trying to put into law the digital currency, which will forever close off your opportunity to donate to the UIC. When they get that in place, they'll be able to say, you can't donate to anybody we don't want you to donate to. They're going to lock off any access to freedom. They're going to force the NIDS program on you and say you have to give up everything about yourself. We must know right down to where you eat for dinner last night, pretty much. This is the same moment we were at when Christopher Columbus came and they're about to kick off the slave trade. And if only our people on the African continent was fully aware and fully equipped to fight back, would have saved ourselves 400 years. We're there today. A more advanced technological moment, we're there now. And if we slip up here, our grandchildren and great-great-great-great-grandchildren will pay a dear price for our failure. Our parents, our foreparents, paid the price of those who failed to secure and defend Africa. Let us not repeat the same mistake today. Thank you very much.
All right, with that, I'd like to open the floor to any questions. Okay, please stand up for you, if you can. Yes, please.
And speak loud. Thank you.
My name is Tim Martin. And someone want to know if living in Canada, I can vote.
If you can vote in Jamaica?
Yeah.
No, you can't vote. You can't vote unless you go to Jamaica and register to vote, and then go back to Jamaica when the election is called to actually vote. Yeah.
Yeah, that's this number.
Well, you don't need that in order to register to vote, but yeah. But the good thing is, every time you donate to the UIC, you're voting. You understand? Because $1 from you allow us to reach 100 votes in Jamaica. Thank you. Yeah. How can you help? Very good. Simple. So donate. If you have skills, you can donate, and if you have money, you can donate. So join. You can join, sign up, volunteer if you have skills you want to volunteer, and donate. Those are the three things. Join. Let's say it together. Join, volunteer, donate. Join, volunteer, donate. Simple. That's it. So this young lady right here, Miss Pink. Miss Pink? Yes, that's you. Miss Pink. Miss Pink, for example, hold on. 1 second. Miss Pink here. Stand up, Miss Pink. Miss Pink. Miss Pink is a nice young lady. It's like she now, she might not have any money to donate, right? But she joined our PR team and worked the social media for us, for example, to reach millions of people. Yeah. Now you, my friend, I know you have the money to donate. So you know, you don't know the social media thing. Yeah.
Mr. Patterson, good evening. Hello. Good evening, Mr. Patterson.
Of course you can. Yes, you can.
You not hear me?
Mrs. Patterson over there or Miss Nignat over there, we're more than happy to help you. Thank you so much. That's the first donation, everybody. Give her a round of applause. There you go. That's the first donation.
Good evening. How do I join, Mr. Patterson? Good evening. How do I join?
Next question.
You not hear me? Hello. How do I
Number
join,
Dennis.
Mr. Patterson?
Number
Hello.
Dennis, good evening. Yes, hi. Good evening.
Hi, good evening.
Hold on. I'm gonna ask you to hold the question. We'll get you to ask the question to the president directly. So hold on for us,
Okay.
right?
Thank you.
Go to you, yes.
A member who just spoke, please raise your hand too, so that we recognize that you need to speak.
If I have money, I love to buy drinks.
Yes.
Give it to strangers, you know,
Yes.
have a good time. And while walking on the hotel at night, one of the hotel staff, it's a dust. They don't watch you back. And
Yeah.
I really didn't like it.
No, exactly.
And guess what? I didn't bother to go to house.
Yeah, it's so unsafe. It's unsafe. Yeah,
In Jamaica, you know, that-
exactly.
If she's telling me to watch my back, you know.
Yeah, you can't feel good about that. Yeah.
I'm a guy, I come to think all the time.
Yeah.
It'll look up.
Different strokes for different folks though. Yes, my brother. Yes. Yeah. Can you all hear online? Can you hear? Can you hear?
No,
All
the
right, so
audio.
next gentleman here.
Next.
Oh, you go first. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so if you can try the mic, yeah, try the mic. So, he doesn't need a mic, it's good. Go ahead. 5 minutes. That's too long, that's too long. 5 minutes is too long. Oh, yes.
What very stress? Here is so different. Here, is the same. Yeah. Let's get that straight. I cannot release the Jamaican dollars. I was doing the conversion. Prime Minister in Canada is allowed to retire at age 55, the pension for life. That pension is 450,000 Canadian dollars, okay? MP is allowed to get a pension for life, 174,000 Canadian dollars, okay? For the Canadian pensioners, it's $12,000 per year. Sick pay is no different, okay? Why am I here? I'm a bit more comfortable. But life is wrong. Every dollar I work, I can earn dollars. At a certain income bracket, they take out up to 40%. If people spend the money, you spend 13% to be shop. They take out other deductions. So every dollar we work in Canada, you're lucky to take on maybe 25 US cents. We got a lot of big rich people in our community pretending they're doing well. I will never pretend they're doing well. I've been on the floor before, and I can go back and sit on the floor again. Okay, my sons are great. Everything I do now is not for me, it's for my grandchildren, and for my son.
Okay.
I did my job with 2 sons, they're financially independent. One is on track to be a millionaire because I indoctrinated him from he was a kid. I'm no millionaire. Hey, my son got to be better than me, okay? I use the equivalent of the Canadian pensioner in Canadian dollars, people. 100 cents per week. That's why I'm here. Okay? When I go shopping for yellow yam, up to $6.99 per pound. Sweet potato, $4.99 per pound. Guess what the Chinese are doing in Toronto? They're switching the brand. Not from Jamaica. Jamaica.
Yeah. No,
So
yeah.
our Jamaican brand in Canada, having myself, is worth billions. Everybody knows the power of our brand, so they get us to pay more for food by staying from Jamaica. Exactly. Now, I will be contacting the Jamaican consulate because I know which people are to the Skyline. Skyline is doing that. I will expose them to the Jamaican consulate, but the consulate will do nothing. They do not represent us. They did nothing for our farm workers. Okay? Yes. So why am I here? If I'm having a hard time, what about the person in Jamaica? That's why I'm there. My grandmother's road in Catherine has never been repaired in over 100 years, people. And it killed the community because we got the road on the young ones, the way the team started and abroad. Guess what? Our thriving farming community is no more. No more. Jamaican people here are the hardest working people. Yes. When the Filipinos present themselves, what's the hardest? Right? They know how to brand themselves. Okay, people? In Toronto, an associate of mine is a world-class international chemist. He was contracted by a Jamaican, and thank myself, a Jamaican entrepreneur, right? And guess what? He chemically designed something for the road. So this man could get into profit instead of importing the petrochemical from Trinidad. This chemist was so great, he changed it so the road lasts longer. So we've got a talent here. Let me explain something, people. We have a mayoral race in front, right? I purposely embedded myself in a legal trust party. When I say money, we can say talent and skills and social media. Yes, election costs money in every country. Because I made a couple donations to Oliver Trump's campaign, I got 2 phone calls last Thursday. And look at what I did. We get a donation box. So it's kind of like I give them and I'm like to get a repeat. You know this is big here. All right. 2 people called me. Now there's going to be a mayoral debate next week at the UFP campus in Scarborough. I said, I registered, but I'm going to wait. You know what I said? This mayoral race is going to cost $2 million. Election costs money. I did a calculation right here. If everyone contributes $1,000, that necessary to live over time. In this room, we raise 0.9 million Jamaican, and that's the bottom line.
It was worth the 5 minutes, but we can't give anybody else 5 minutes. But, thank you. Oh, yes, you may, of course you may. So we have some persons online, but you'll go and then we take them online. Thank you. And then we'll come back to you, okay? Yeah.
September, he came back, he carried with him. And September gone, he come and he said, me, I will never, ever go back to Jamaica.
Wow.
That's what he said.
That's so
And he
sad.
said, everybody that was graduated is at UC. Some gone to the States, some come to Canada, some gone everywhere.
Yes.
So there is nobody there to build the country up after
Correct.
they graduate, because the country is going down to the earth.
Yes, it's called brain drain.
So I'm so glad for it. I just want to come and.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Excellent. Which is why the UIC wants to give the diaspora direct voting remotely. So you can vote by absentee ballots around the world. So when we're elected, all diaspora will be able to vote from wherever you are in the world. You'll also be able to return home duty-free. You know, right now you have to pay money to come duty-free return home. And we want to make sure that those in the diaspora also can run for office in Jamaica. Because if we don't allow the diaspora to come back and be able to fully participate, we can't reverse that brain drain, right? So we have to do that. You have to leave now, eh? Care, my brother. All the best. Yes. This gentleman, take care. Thanks again. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. This gentleman, and then we go online. Okay? Go ahead, sir.
I've read the UIC, the
Manifesto?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I see the UIC vision. Is the vision like actually is the answer to fix most of our problems?
Yeah.
But the issue I'm like having with the UIC, and I think we're not getting out. We're not getting to the people. We're not gonna get a certain aspect of people. We're gonna get poor people or even people who need help. A lot of people are seeing, and I will agree to that, but we have to prove that. We're in the information.
Have you ever been on any one of our road tours? Okay. So we've been to all 14 parishes. And no, what you're asking for is what we want to do. So if we have the funds, we can go everywhere. But if we don't have the funds, no, I'm being very straight with you. Because every time we go somewhere, let me give you an example of how it works. Let's say we want to go to my constituency, which is next door. Like right, I live in my constituency, I live there. But if I want to go to Balaclava, Braze River, Shiloh, all of the areas, right? I have to have gas. Right? I have to take time away from work. I have to carry a team, and they have to be fed. We have to print materials. You know, so mobilizing is not as simple as it appears. It takes resources. If you come and show me, I'll follow your way. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I see it.
No, but I just gave you one example. Yes. Right. The bread basket fire, yeah. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, from July, so it is. build from that aspect, say, you know what, we're gonna go out and just from your community or from my community. And we try to spread from people from there, try to educate them. A lot of our people are.
Of course, I signed up 1,300 in that area. Yeah.
What will fix Jamaica? This one will make your life better.
Can I tell you a little thing quickly? A quick thing. Our people have lost the volunteer spirit. Lost it. It's dead. You see, here in Canada, you'll be able to find volunteers much easier than you would in Jamaica. And that's even slipping in Canada now. Right? But in Jamaica, where when a person wakes up every morning, it's almost like you're scavenging. You understand? You have to hustle real hard. So I'm not saying they shouldn't, I'm just trying to put the context for you. And so when we do anything with the people, it has to be carefully understood in the context in which they live. What you're saying is what we need to do. We can do it, but we need your help to do it. So I am just recruiting you now to my team in St. Elizabeth. Yeah. So yeah. I recruited you already. What's your name? What's your name? Russell? What's your first name? Campbell. Okay. Good. Yeah. So we'll talk somewhere offline because I know you have it. And the good thing is you're not as old as I, so it means that you can really help me. So, so Ms. Patterson, get his number and everything for me. He's on. Who is you, sir? 1 second, just one person online. Let's get some online persons going here. Who was first? Naija, can you help?
Audrey Dennis, Mr. President.
Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Can you hear me?
I'm not hearing.
Yes, good
not
evening,
hearing
good
her.
evening.
So let's
Mr.
hear from
Patterson.
Naija online.
Hold on, Audrey. Mr. Patterson isn't hearing you yet. Hold on.
All right.
Go ahead.
Who's going first?
Miss Audrey Dennis.
Okay, hi. I hope you can hear me now. Yes, I do like what you are putting forward for Jamaica. And after hearing you with the salary increase that this demonic prime minister gave himself and his friends, after I was in Jamaica when they were arguing back and forth with the principal and teachers over salary. So in other words, then they wasted our time getting paid for nothing, knowing well what we know now, that all the time they had this to do to give themselves the salary increase. So I want to know, given the chance that UIC gets in office, will you be able to do anything to reverse that policy increase? And the next thing is, you were just talking about volunteers. I believe some of those young people, we should get some of those young people in the schools to volunteer. They need to come out and start to help themselves. Because what we see now are every politician there, their sons, their daughters, their wives, and everybody is in there because there's money in there. They are like crabs in a barrel fighting for all the dollars. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Can you press mute for me? Just press mute and then you can unmute, mute and unmute. So thank you very much, Miss Audrey. Yes, we can reverse what has been done. It will not be a simple matter, but it can be done. And yes, we should get the young people involved. That's a challenge for a number of reasons, but we are going to work and we are working on that. Miss Graham, oh, who's the next person? Sorry, go ahead, next person.
Ms. Graham is the next person, Mr. President.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Mr. President, Mr. Patterson. I've been following when I was living in Canada, I just came home 2 years ago, and I've been following your YouTube interviews and stuff, and it really piqued my interest. I am a nurse, senior lecturer at a community college nursing department, and I really want to get involved because I have some good ideas that I want to put out there, and I really want to get involved. From our Jamaican standpoint, I know the diaspora can help and we can all work together because I love my country and I know you love your country. That is why you are doing this, right? So I want to be partnership with people of like mind who want to get back our country to where it should be, because Jamaica Jamaica is a blessed island, and we are not going to sit down and allow criminals in high places and low places to continue to ruin our country. So I really want to get involved.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. 100% in agreement. Mr. Wright, who's the next person?
It's Devon Taylor.
Next person?
All right, just before you go to Mr. Taylor, Mr. President, just to let the person who just expressed an interest know that they just go to our website and key their information to volunteer, indicate that they want to volunteer or join, and they can follow up with a call to our offices, and we will get them on the movement working together in whatever capacity they're able to volunteer. So the next person is Mr. Taylor.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for the presentation, particularly your views around environment. I am the president of the Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement that is spearheading a number of initiatives against colonial era laws that really does not give Jamaican rights to access their beaches, use their sea, but that is also extended larger towards environment, access to rivers, access to green spaces. Listening to your presentation, I want to learn a bit more as your views around environment. Sorry if I did not hear you build that into your framework of the Constitution, but I'd like to understand it some more. And I want to because humans have given themselves dominion over the earth. And some of us are of the view that that is one of the big reasons why we're having this great environmentalist crisis on the earth. That without the earth, there's no human, whereas the earth can survive without humanity. So we do see the earth as central to the survivability of human beings. So I'd really like to get your views in terms of if you're building a constitutional framework that is going to serve humanity, where does the environmental fit in that? What are your views on the environment?
You're muted, Mr. President.
You're muted, Mr. President.
We can't hear
muted.
you.
Okay, how is that? Am I on now?
Yeah.
Mute me again. Where's my muter? Somebody has to mute this one.
Now you're on. Now you're on.
Somebody has to press the mute button for that. You have to mute this one. Thank you. Just the mute button. All right. Mute? Okay, wonderful. Still not muted. You have to mute that one. Or reduce the volume, whichever one. So we're getting the feedback here. So, all right, I'll try to speak over it. So, in short, the UIC believes 100% in protecting our environment. For example, we will be outlawing bauxite mining on the simple basis that it is non-renewable. Let me see here. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
We're hearing you now, Mr. President.
Yeah, good. All right. So we are 100% committed to protecting the environment of Jamaica, to meet the needs of the Jamaican people, and for us to have a sustainable lifestyle that is clean and healthy in terms of the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, and to ensure that we pass on the land, the earth, the environment in a way that is conducive for our children, and for generations to come. In short, that's our basic, position. So bauxite mining has to go, for example, because it's not renewable and it's destructive. Next question.
Okay, so the next person would be Damian Johnson.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so once again, really appreciate this opportunity to be on this town hall meeting. Good. And I just wanted to find out for the current issues that we're really having, what's the UIC position, plan of action in terms of dealing with the digital currency that Andrew and the labor ranks, and also in respect of the salary increase, what is the UIC's actual position on it and their plan of action in terms of activities? Just even a while ago, I'm listening to the news, and another issue now is that they are now saying that a prohibition order is now going to be made for people who use more water than they should use. I've never seen a government operate with such a level of insanity, uncaringness, uncouthness. I don't know. Well, I'm glad that I never supported them. I swear I really appreciate that. But I mean, they and the Labour's must go. And I am saying that they must have a national protest come in the month of June. It's for the talking to cease, and that we must move towards an action in terms of forcing them to call an election this year, not next year, but this year, because it's people power going to have to force them to call it. You cannot have them when finally, as back to us to a point that you were making mention in terms of their arbitrary use of power. They have a minor opposition or a weak opposition in terms of the numbers. And I'm of the view legally and constitutionally that because of such minority, there are certain sensitive issues that needs to have an entire or almost a full representation of the opposition or the UIC as an alternative or independent senators and independent MPs. But there must be a full representation of the interest of the people there in terms of them adding a voice. They can't come and say because they have their 40 or 42 to
Right. Can we, Mr. Johnson, thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, do you or Chase want to take up the answer on this one or jump in at any point? Eh? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Mr. President, I didn't hear much of what was said by virtue of comment and then the question because the person is breaking up badly.
All right, so I think I can answer one of them. One of the points raised was the pay increase and the UIC's position on it. Hold on, am I being seen? Sorry, sorry about that. Yes. We had a live broadcast recently where we spoke on that issue. On the matter of the pay increase, and Mr. Patterson had spoken to it earlier, we say that the government does not deserve to raise their pay, especially in light of the bad governance and their failure to create a society that is progressive for the Jamaican people. In light of that, we have made 10 demands that the government must fulfill 10 requirements by June 10. And these include they must initiate the fixed election dates as was promised by the Prime Minister, job descriptions for MPs, ministers, and senators. They must initiate performance-based pay, Fourth, effective separation of powers between the Senate, House of Representatives, executive, judiciary. They must bring into being effective checks and balances, bring into being independent elected senators, which is a feature of our governance model that was just discussed. And they should ensure, seventh, grassroots candidate selection. Instead of the party or the delegates selecting candidates, we must have grassroots candidate selection. Another demand that we make is that a system must be put in place where campaigning is 100% publicly funded to eliminate the big money control. Ninth, there must be taxing and borrowing restrictions. 10, they must stop the CBDC and return the Bank of Jamaica to the people of Jamaica. 11, get rid of NIDS. 12 and 13, no government funding supporting or promoting of sexual relations and gender identity. And number 14, we demand a real republic now, which is the non-partisan constitutional republic that was just described by the president. So should the government fail to bring these into being, to fulfill these requirements, and we know that they will, by June 10, then the UIC is going to be leading a national protest action. And also, you know that we'll be following up with an education session to the people of Jamaica to let them know really what is at stake. I hope that answered your question.
All right. So we're gonna break for an intermission from over here, man. You can do your thing. Sit down in the chair.
They have t-shirts.
I know, but you're
already.
gonna talk to them while you're talking to them. Come right here. You don't have to sit down, okay? You can be seen either way. There you go. So go ahead and say what you need to say.
I just want to introduce everyone to the UIC t-shirts. And right now we have 10 t-shirts, and we have polo shirts and the other one is what was it? Oxford. And they're 25 US. The polo and the Oxford is 35, right? 35 US.
What's the conversion?
What's the conversion? I like what I know.
Well, because it's online at that price. What's the Canadian?
Pardon me?
What's the Canadian equivalent?
Canadian.
Sorry? $33, $35 Canadian. $35
So
Canadian.
the Oxford, the polos.
35 Canadian.
Like this, the
Want me to hold it
35
for you?
Canadian.
Yeah, I'll hold it for you.
Yeah, and
I'll hold it for you.
I think we have.
Well, you're a moderate. Stand up. Just stand up. Here we go. Okay. Right, we're gonna come down to.
Yeah.
Okay, so here it is. So she has, if you want t-shirts or Oxford shirt, go see this young lady over here. All right. Young man, your question, sir. Thank you. Yeah. 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 Yeah, man. Wonderful. So water hose. All right. What's your name, sir? What's your name? Just your first name. Just your first name. Or last name. Or your alien. What's your alien? What's your alien? King. Okay. All right. The king is here. And the king says we're getting traction in Waterhouse and where? Nannyville. Yeah. Yeah. So what him call Nannyville and him call Waterhouse. Somebody areas the people I hear about me, right? All right. Right. We're not push out yet. Yeah, we're not push out yet. Yeah. Yeah, man. And the push out is gonna come. As we raise more money, the push out is going to come. You understand me? Yes. Uh-huh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Okay. Mrs. P, get him number and stuff for me. And make sure we can connect. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. I spoke to Sizzler. Yeah. Yeah. Right, absolutely. Right. Yeah. Well, what we need is you to help us to push out the word to them. Yeah. Right. So what time do we? No. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, we're now out of time. The rent is up. Yeah. Yes. One comment quickly. Yes, go ahead. Yes. Yes. Correct. Correct. Yes. No, they don't. Yeah. It's global. Yeah. 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 Right. Yes. Yeah. 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 Yep. You just can't leave unless we tell you. Yeah. Yeah. Right. I know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, man, we have to find ways. And that's where diaspora groups come in, right? So if you come together, Circle Live, you come together, we can do it. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, let,
Thank you very much, Mr.
my pleasure, my pleasure. Yeah. Thank you for coming. Thank you, my sister. Same here. Really? And so close. Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. A pleasure. Pleasure. One last word.
I choose the board of.
That's fine. Yeah, you can go ahead. No problem. Yeah. Go ahead. Thank you. Speak with her for me. Mrs. Peter. Sorry, guys, I'm being pulled in a different direction. Sir, one last thing. Go ahead. Come close. Come close. Yeah.
And so while the president is occupied, let me just take this opportunity to thank everyone for being here, for participating, for making this a success. I ask you to not let the message stop here, but share with our friends and neighbors and colleagues. And if you're in the diaspora, particularly your people back home, share this info with them. Let them know that there is an option to change your lives for the better.
Online, we have descended into chaos here. Everybody is now buying T-shirts and giving name and registration and all of that. And our tenant, or our landlord, is kicking us out as well because the time is up for us to be on here with you. So thank you all very much for being here tonight. Really appreciate you. I think it was a lovely. Give us a rating now. Tell us how it was. 100% if we're great, 0 or 1 if we're poor, 50 if we're so. Put it in the comment line wherever you are on Facebook or Twitter or whatever. And remember to go and like and subscribe to our YouTube channel so we can get more people on there. We're just 6,000 strong right now. We need 60,000. So go on YouTube and subscribe, please. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your support. And Jamaica needs you. All right. UIC, one Jamaica, stronger together. One Jamaica, stronger together. Have a good night, everyone. Take care. All the best. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming. Brother Clive, I know it's late. Brother Ventis, I know it's late where you are. Sweet dreams, and we'll talk soon.
Brother Clive, you have a good night, man.